some images of the cans got leaked. Is that a horror scenario or did it work?
We had more than 1 billion impressions before we spent a single dollar on media. If you think about gaming, it's massive. It's, as I say, 3 billion people around the world play video games. The misconception is that they all drink energy drinks. No, they don't. There's a very small portion that drink energy drinks and a very big portion that drink soda.
Marketing Factories is the podcast where we go behind the scenes on some of the world's leading global brands to really understand how effective marketing is built. And today I have the privilege to be inside one of the greatest.
The campaign was a TVC, completely gone that era. Now you have to figure out how to get the audiences to talk about your brand because they hold the mic.
I think every CMO talks about being current with culture. 190 markets. Like how do you get intimate with culture?
If you don't understand this, nothing else matters.
The brand has taken decisive steps to really rediscover what it means for its fans and carve out its next growth chapter. And I'm in conversation today with a man that's been leading this transformation, Ibrahim Khan, Global Vice President for Fanta.
That's literally the one thing on the back of which this $18 billion brand stands. So, Ibrahim, welcome to Marketing Factories.
Thank you so much.
So, we're here because you launched today, is it the biggest campaign that Fanta has ever done?
One of the biggest.
One of the biggest.
But they're all the biggest. So.
Of course. What is it all about?
Well, this one is special because it marks our entry into a very exciting space with gaming.
Okay.
And it's the first ever gaming campaign that we've done. We're doing it globally. We're doing it in more than 60 markets.
Okay.
In partnership with Xbox and Activision Blizzard. You know, there's 5 of the biggest gaming IP in it. So gaming is like this very exciting space. It's a wonderful community. More than 3 billion people play video games around the world. And not many brands have had success entering this space. We hope to be one of those few that do.
I hope you do.
We launched yesterday, and so far the response has been great. So.
Well, actually, I saw that some images of the cans got leaked. Is that a horror scenario, or did it work out well for you?
They always do. I think maybe 10 years ago we would have been, worried about it. Now it's like, good, people want to see it, and they're talking about it. So it's kind of like free media, but it also tells you people like what we're doing.
So tell me a little bit more about the campaign.
Well, this campaign is, we're doing it with our partners at Xbox and Microsoft with 5 of the world's biggest gaming IPs.
Massive.
And really at the heart of the campaign lies this one-of-a-kind collection for each of the IP that we're going to sell and fans love. And every pack will have a QR code with a digital rewards chest that fans can actually scan and get exclusive in-game rewards from that. So would you like to see?
I would.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If you look at this is our new flavor. It's a limited time flavor for Diablo. You can buy this now for a limited time only.
Okay.
So that's a Diablo can. It's a sour cherry flavor.
I think I'm going to love it.
Cherry. And you can try opening one can out of that.
Okay.
It's a bit heavy. Careful. And then this is our fan favorite orange, what Fanta is known for everywhere. We did Call of Duty with this one because it's one of the biggest games. And this particular version is no sugar. So we had some leaks of these before the campaign went live. Yeah, and we're already seeing millions of impressions around fans going a bit crazy here. So
okay.
That's really where it starts.
Let's see what it's all about. I'm going to try it.
Absolutely.
Did we catch that? Oh, it's actually, yeah, cherry.
Good.
That's actually good.
Well, it better be because we're planning to sell many. Okay. In fact, there's a very big influencer drive that we're doing because as a community, obviously, they like to listen to people they trust and follow. And we'll be sending some really special influencer boxes there. You see them around us, actually, if you would like to open one.
I thought these were props. Okay. Okay.
Well, let me know what you find because even I don't know what's in it.
Yeah, it's this light box we have here.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Want a Fanta? Come and get it.
That's for your room. You can put it above your bed.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's precious. It's a whole Xbox controller. What is this? It's a blanket.
That's very cool.
Oh, it's a onesie. Good.
Can I take one of
Of
those?
course, you can wear it now if you want.
It's gonna be too hot.
Okay.
Okay,
So
amazing.
yeah, we'll be sending these all
just
over the
gonna put them
world
back.
to influencers, and it will go with the full collection of the products as well. So if I explain a little bit the idea behind the campaign, Fanta is, as we say, all about deliciousness and fun, and there's very few things that young people find more fun than gaming
Right.
these days, and so kind of finding a good role for the brand. Our idea is very simple. It's so delicious it's worth dying for, because video gamers love a good challenge, and that's why you see want a Fanta, come get it, because these icons from the video games are going to take your Fanta, and then you have to go
You know what? It's
battle
actually
it out.
April Fool's today. That could be a very
This
cool
is very real.
April Fool's campaign. So if we go a little bit like off the campaign itself, like you have inherited this multi-billion-dollar brand. Like there aren't many people where what I'm gonna say really resonates. You are really walking like standing on the shoulders of giants. So when you stepped into the role like a few years back, was it 3 or 4 years back?
Yeah, 3 years almost now.
Talk to me a little bit about where the brand was and what are the things that you knew you wanted to like carve a new way and the things that you absolutely wanted to keep.
Sure. I mean, to start off with, look, there's very few brands of this scale in the world. And so,
That's true.
getting the opportunity to work on one of them, especially something like Fanta, is a privilege for any marketer. I mean, you mentioned it's $18 billion. That's with a B. That's bigger than a lot of companies out there. And so it comes with a lot of responsibility. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of people who touch this brand, they work on it, they depend on it. And so, I mean, the first sort of impression is, this is a big responsibility. You have to, treat it with care and love and respect. So that's one. When I came on the brand, and we see this a lot in the industry, some of these very iconic brands have become a little bit muddied in terms of what they stand for, what they're about, who they're for. And we started this project called Rediscovering Fanta, because really it was about going back into the heritage of the brand, understanding what makes a Fanta Fanta, why people drink it, what it stands for. And believe it or not, it took us 2 years to arrive at Fanta is delicious and Fanta is fun. That's it. If you don't understand those two things about this brand, you're not going to go very wrong. And then the task was, how do you make delicious and fun relevant for today's audiences? And so that's kind of the journey that we've been on, where you see a lot of the things we're doing, including this campaign.
I mean, it's very interesting because I have many of these conversations these days, and it seems people are really understanding the value of distinctive brand assets and what they carry. So it's interesting. What are those for Fanta? So it was, I guess, orange for sure.
It's funny because everyone had a different notion of what is distinctive for Fanta. And then we did this little exercise where I would just say Fanta and everyone would say orange, or they would think orange. And, we would
That's
predict that.
interesting.
And so indeed, orange is one of our biggest distinctive assets. It's how the brand was born. It's our biggest equity, and it's also our biggest flavor. So, distinctive brand assets are one piece of the puzzle, but the heritage of the brand and understanding that and bringing that back to life is where the hard work really needs to happen. Because it's a 70-year-old brand. It's the second oldest brand in the company. Not many people know that. And it's taken us a long time to really get it right. We've made a lot of mistakes along the way, but I think we found our rhythm now.
So you mentioned deliciousness is one of the things that people naturally bring up when they think of Fanta. How does gaming come in? Like, is it? I assume it has to do with the target audience, and it's very refreshing that it's not another brand tapping into music. So, can you talk a little bit about like who Fanta is addressing and how you're trying to do that?
I like that. But Fanta our core audience is Gen Z, or just teens and young adults. We do have a very big millennial consumer as well. that obviously we value and we will do marketing for them as well. But to grow the brand, we need to grow the younger consumers. And so delicious and fun. If you think about gaming, it's massive. It's, as I say, 3 billion people around the world play video
It
games.
is.
The misconception is that they all drink energy drinks. No, they don't. There's a very small portion that drink energy drinks and a very big portion that drink soda. So there is a fit with the occasion and a fit with the passion and with the audience. Now, finding the role for our product or our brand in that community where we want to be authentic, because it is a tough crowd. You don't want to be inauthentic with that crowd. It's very simple. Gamers love a good challenge. We give them the most fun challenge they can get, and the rewards are a delicious Fanta and exclusive in-game rewards.
So you mentioned that Fanta is an $18 billion retail value brand.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't understand that because it's part of the Coca-Cola company, that if it was a standalone company, it would be Fortune 500 company. Like, that's crazy.
Right.
What are the things most people underestimate when they think of what it takes to run such a huge brand?
Yeah. Well, one is the size of the brand, $18 billion, but we sell in more than 180 countries.
Wow.
So there's that scale of it. And that comes with a lot of advantages as well. When you have that kind of scale, the resources available to you are very unique, and not everyone has access to resources like that. The knowledge, the talent, the capabilities, the partnerships that we can tap into is very unique to what a brand like this can offer. On the other hand, how do you make sure that you have that global scale, but with local intimacy in 190 countries? That's where I think it gets challenging. So you can probably have a coherent strategy, a deep understanding of what the brand is about. As I say, delicious and fun. It has to be simple so that it's clear for the hundreds and thousands of people that work on it. And then you can execute in different ways, in locally relevant ways. I mean, this campaign we run in about 67 markets. Similarly, our Halloween campaign, which we've done in the last couple of years, is also in about 50 markets. But there's another 100 markets that also develop work around the brand on the same strategy, but that we do locally, and it is meant to serve markets where these things don't work.
What is your vision for the brand? And since we work with the Coca-Cola company, I know we have this notion of the LRP. So what is, if whatever you can share of it, like what is your vision for the brand for until
So I think
2029?
we want Fanta to be the first entertainment brand in the soda category. Where there's a sea of lifestyle brands, this one is about entertainment. Because it's delicious and it's fun, right? Okay. What does that mean? If I unpack that, there's two passion points there that we want to play in. One is gaming and one is filmed entertainment. And if you see what we've been doing the last couple of years, we've been building this intentionally and also a little bit, it just happened opportunistically. With Halloween, we've been partnering with a lot of movies, seasonal movies. We did Beetlejuice in 24. We partnered with Universal on some of the biggest iconic IP. This year, we're doing this partnership with Xbox on gaming IP. I mean, really, the future looks a little bit like now we're thinking about what can we as a brand do in the entertainment space. Yes, the partnerships are extremely critical to us, but how do we take it a step further and do some work of our own?
What does a partner need to have for you to be able to commit to such a long-term partnership? I mean, yeah, Xbox is a massive global IP. Like, what are, and I'm sure you're not going to limit yourselves to that. What are the things you're looking for?
Yeah, I don't see it as limiting to work with one partner. I see it as a strategic bet. Because
no, absolutely. I just forecasted maybe that in the next years we're going to see more of those type of partnerships, but maybe not.
Strategic because it takes time to build chemistry between two partners, build a relationship, there's a steep learning curve to these things that, believe me, we have gone through for each project that we've done.
What was some of the learnings, the biggest learnings?
I mean, understanding the space that we're trying to enter in depth, understanding what's in it for both partners, understanding, super important to understand the fans and the communities that we're trying to, connect with, and, respecting each other's IP, making sure that we're both getting value. It takes time to understand these things. We sell in 180 countries. These campaigns go live in 60 plus markets. The operation is very complex. I give you an example. For us, doing this from the day we start talking about it to the day it actually hits the market takes about a year. Our friends at Xbox had no idea it takes us that long to get. And similarly, there are things that we've learned from their end that we had no idea about. So there is a strategic advantage to working with big partners that work across the world with the scale we have, that have deep rosters of IP that we can keep partnering on year after year. And really, that's, to answer your question, that's what they need to bring, together with a passion, of course, for our brand and our business as well.
So how do the mechanics of this collab work? Because I used to play Mario Kart, but I haven't been into gaming for many years. How does this partnership work for the gamer itself? So I know there's a can and with scan, etc. But inside the game, are you in there?
Yes. So really look at the heart of the campaign is what our fans love about our brand, which is our product. So, all our delicious flavors now integrated with their favorite IPs, with their favorite games and icons from those games. So that matters more to fans than you would imagine. When we did last year's Halloween campaign, our collection leaked. We had more than 1 billion impressions before we spent a single dollar on media.
Crazy.
Not $1 on media. And those are all fans talking about it. So that matters a lot for the fans because they see it as a recognition of their fandom. Beyond that, especially for the gaming community, in-game rewards and the experience that we can create from their IP in the real world, so live experiences, these two things matter a lot as well. So we have more than, I won't give you the exact number, but we have millions of exclusive in-game rewards that you can win if you scan that, play a little bit the challenge that we set up for you. And I can already see a lot of conversation around this. And then we have live experiences in a number of locations where we're bringing things from the games to the real world, all in the service of a delicious reward, Fanta.
You mentioned it just a few seconds ago. I think there's huge hype right now around Fandom. Like every CMO wants to tap into Fandom. What does this really mean for you? And if you were to look backwards toward the brands, what are the different ways that you are engaging with fans today that you were compared to how you were engaging a few years ago? And why does this matter?
I think the basic thought process doesn't change, right? So firstly, you have to be very clear on whether your product, not just your brand, but your product is relevant to the fandom of a certain community or passion point. So if you think gaming, people drink soda when they're gaming. Well, there's a fit there from a product and an occasion perspective. Then you connect with the passion of those fans, and you have to do it in a very authentic way. Cliche, but it is true. And that's the part of the learning journey. And you have to do it in a way which is rewarding them. And so that's kind of the ecosystem that we build. And then you give your product or your brand a very natural role in there. So we don't promise anything other than, hey, the reward is a delicious Fanta, which anyway for them is very cool. And then that makes you a part of it. So for example, the other piece that we're target Halloween. It's the festivity of trick and treat. This is the brand of deliciousness and fun. The fit is there. But in Halloween, we approach it through entertainment, through the horror genre, rather than through the traditional Halloween ways. Because again, the brand has to show up in a way that's authentic to the fans, but also to the brand.
Correct.
If you get one of those things wrong, people can smell it.
I'm very interested in hearing what you think on the following. So I know that Fanta is one of the most digital brands in the Coca-Cola system, maybe the one that uses digital the most. Yet you mentioned live experiences.
Yeah.
How do these things come together? Like for our audience, for Gen Zs, like how do you feel there's this? Are we going to see more of these live experiences, and why?
Well, on the topic of digital, it is a push that we have as a marketing organization across our brands. On Fanta specifically, we're spending up to 70% of our investment is on digital. I've said before, like the era of TV is a little bit gone. I know it's a cliche, but when I say gone, I just mean it doesn't play the same role in
Yes.
consumers' lives that it did. It's been replaced with platforms like TikTok, like Instagram, like YouTube. And so digital is very, very important to our ecosystem and how we connect with fans. I think that's important to establish. Live experiences takes it a step further. And with respect to our fans, we're bringing what they love and what they're fans of into the real world for them. That's something that brands like ours can do uniquely. Fans love it because obviously it's something that they experience and they enjoy, and so we will be doing more and more. For Halloween, we have a property we call the Haunted Fanta Factory, which is this really fun escape room
We should do a
concept.
haunted marketing factory.
Well, maybe we can do that internally sometime, but we have the Haunted Fanta Factory, which has seen great success, and we're scaling it up. For the gaming campaign, we are doing a couple of pilots in some markets where, we bring the live experience on ground. Fans of a certain game have to come play the challenge, which is borrowed from their game, and in exchange for actually one of these little beauties here.
It's actually interesting because I think no matter how much we think that Gen Zs are all about digital, which they definitely are, they seem to be craving these offline experiences all the more and more, and this disconnection. So that's interesting how these live experiences come and complement your arsenal of tools.
The useful way to think of it is what role a specific media plays in their life. If I think about myself, TV was very central to my life. Hey, I got my news from TV, I had my entertainment on TV, my friends on TV, my family, we used to enjoy it. It played a very central role. That's the role that it doesn't play anymore. And that's the role that what we call digital is such a big word, but what TikTok plays now, what Instagram. So that's a very big part of their lives, their source of information and what they enjoy. Live experiences, as I say, take that and bring it into the real world. So it's less about thinking online and offline, which is more marketing speak. But if you think about it from the consumer's perspective, a live experience is just stuff that they love and that they're getting to experience in the real world.
And it gives such a depth to how you can experience the brand. Like it's a tool that we didn't used to think about.
Exactly, yeah. A lot of brands do it very successfully. I think we're catching up.
Yeah, I saw a very interesting example from Netflix. Okay, they have entertainment brands. They have, of course, all their shows, and they're building now these physical experiences that you can go inside a Bridgerton house or whatnot.
The challenge with live experiences is scale.
Yeah,
it's hard to scale, but again, that's where the digital integration comes into it, which is that allows you to scale the impact of your live experience. So as a brand, we have to think about scale. On an $18 billion brand, I can't just do something, that serves 100 people. As much as we would want to, it's not sustainable.
Perhaps through influencers who you fly in and do all these things.
And fans talk about the experience as well.
So looking backwards from the campaign itself to when you started your tenure at Fanta, what are the shifts you made that allowed you yesterday to launch this campaign? You talked about clarity. Like, if you think about globally the shifts you've made, what are those?
I think when I started, we were trying to bring a lot of clarity to why people drink Fanta or why they buy Fanta. And it was very clear that orange is our biggest equity, but deliciousness is what makes us very unique, because without a doubt, that is the most delicious drink you can buy out there. That's true. Now, in that time, we were really trying to focus on campaigns that only build deliciousness. And we realized that we don't need to. Consumers already believe it is delicious. What we need to do is find a way of connecting that deliciousness to what matters to them, where then it became very evident to us that the other missing piece is fun. And once that kind of epiphany happened, that's when we started doing the work around Halloween and the work around gaming. And ultimately, our vision started being defined by this combination of deliciousness and fun, which is entertainment. And so really, it was a process. I think we tried some things, we saw some success, but we reflected enough to understand that, hey, we need more. And so that clarity is now fueling all the marketing that you're seeing on this brand.
While you're speaking, I'm thinking that what a weight it must be, because a lot of these notions that you just talked about are things you had to experiment with. And I'm
Yes.
thinking, how easy is it to experiment in a conglomerate that is the Coca-Cola company? Like, how are you able to do that?
It's not easy, particularly because you have to balance, business growth with that journey of experimenting and learning and building and improving. I mean, for my team, our vision is internally very clear. We want to leave this brand better than when we got it. And we want to leave it in a space where it doesn't need us anymore to continue doing what we're doing. So I would love to see 10 years later someone else doing Halloween and bringing it to life in a different way, or the 10th year of gaming with Xbox or, with gaming partners. And so that requires the iterative approach, but that also requires a practical sense of balancing what the business needs and having some success, short-term success, while you're building the bigger thing. You need everyone to really truly understand and buy into what we're trying to do, which buys you a little bit of time and patience as well.
Trying to ask a question of thinking of the factory, are you able to what extent are you able to pilot some of these big new ideas, and how do you do that? Because I'm thinking of this massive scale, and for a beverage startup, it's okay, I'm just gonna go a new flavor, have people, it's so easy to pilot. For the Coca-Cola company, it's harder. How do you do that?
I actually see it the other way around. I think on an $18 billion brand, the resources that are available to myself or to our team on Fanta is it's easier to pilot, because one pilot in the bigger scheme of things doesn't
Correct.
hurt my budget. So we actually are able to do it. It's encouraged. As a marketing function, we do believe in trying to experiment things and scale them fast when we see that they're working, or then kill them when we see that they're not. It's a little bit of a culture that I think has been built across the marketing team, not just on Fanta.
So I think every CMO talks about being current with culture, but when you're talking about the scale that you just mentioned, like 190 markets, like how do you get intimate with culture?
Well, firstly, it's recognizing that there is no such thing as a global consumer.
True.
I mean, there is no global consumer. There's a consumer in the US, there's a consumer in China, there's a consumer in India, so consumers exist where they exist. There's no hypothetical global consumer. As a brand, you have to be, I say this like a broken record, but you have to be very clear and very simple about what your brand stands for. Delicious and fun. If I can successfully make sure that everyone in 190 countries understands this, that's a bigger win than you might imagine. Then the vision, and then the growth pillars of the brand, like how that vision comes to life. You have to allow for some flexibility for local intimacy. So, what works in, let's say, a lot of our markets in the Western Hemisphere doesn't necessarily work everywhere in the Eastern Hemisphere. I've lived in China for 4 years with the company, had a wonderful time. And we see the numbers, a lot of the IP that we're working with, people know it, but it doesn't resonate the way it does outside of China. So if I go to the team in China and I say, guys, do the same thing that we're doing everywhere else, it will not work. So that's where the intimacy piece comes from. You're clear on the strategy, you're clear on the sandbox, you're clear on the objectives, but then you execute in a way that is relevant to local consumers. And we have some really strong marketeers around the world in the markets that do that part of the job.
I would assume also on the product innovation front, or even the campaign, you try to get those insights globally and try to co-create with markets as much as possible. So at much as possible, the end result resonates with as many.
You do find insights that are universal, but then how you solve for those insights can differ by markets. And you're absolutely right. So this isn't just about the communication or the campaign work that we do. It's about how the brand, especially on Fanta, innovation is such an important pillar of this brand. We do, for example, if you take this product, there's 3 or 4 versions of it around the world that have been localized to the tastes of consumers in that part of the world. It looks the same and it has a similar name with the same IP, but what's inside it is a little bit different. And that's where we then find that, deeper level of intimacy, even when it comes to innovation on our product. So indeed it is, you're absolutely correct on that.
What is your favorite flavor?
Orange.
Okay, if it's their second favorite flavor from all of these different flavors globally, and in which market is it?
Orange, no sugar.
Okay.
I do love pineapple Fanta as well, though.
Oh, I haven't tried that.
Okay.
So, you came up through the Coca-Cola system. I mean, it's a phenomenal company, and the size of it gives us a scale that is really hard to find. But I've seen things as an external. I mean, there are little things you cannot pin your finger, but maybe because from my operational capacity, like I've seen things with a brand, like you did a rebranding last year. I think the logo changed. Tapping into entertainment, Halloween, these are a lot of changes for a very small amount of time. Like, how are you able to do that from an operating model? Like,
It's a super interesting question. Well, let's recognize first the Coca-Cola company is one of, if not the best marketing organization in the world. And I say this with all the humility of, a marketer that does obviously connect with other people in the industry. So, the brands that we've built over the last many, many decades are, very unique. And so that obviously comes with with knowledge of an operating model on how to do marketing successfully at scale with intimacy and with speed. What's worked for me a lot on Fanta is what we've called in the last few years the network effect of our marketing community, of our larger organization, but specifically of the marketing community. So I have a network of about 40 to 50 marketers around the world on Fanta. And it's a very close-knit, fun-loving community. We're all very, very connected. 80% of the conversations that happen there, I'm not even in the picture, which makes my day, because when I find out about those conversations, I see the brand moving, whether I'm there or not. What gives us the speed is in that community, we have a deep level of trust. I go back to clarity on the brand. The knowledge of the brand has been spread across. There is a buy-in into the vision. So we debate work extensively, many times in very intense ways, but it's always about the work in the spirit of making it better. That has allowed us to, do things, I would like to say, much faster than is normal and iterate much quicker than perhaps we could have in the past. But that's kind of the operating model. It's a network of marketeers that connect with each other. To give you an example, the Halloween work is led out of our team in Europe. The gaming work is led out of our team in US. Fanta and food-related work is led out of our team in Latin America. And I actually don't have anyone who reports to me on my team. I work with this network. And so that's allowed us to both leverage the knowledge, the depth, but also each other's talent and genius.
And I guess this unique partnership you have with WPP and the OpenX network has helped that. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because it's one of the most impressive things that were announced like a few years ago.
Yeah.
I would love to understand what are things you believe you wouldn't be able to do today if this one agency partner didn't exist.
I think it's been a huge enabler of what we've been able to do because the idea of OpenX is very simple. WPP is one of the biggest holding networks in the world, and they have a lot of brands and different, teams under, that holding company. OpenX essentially gives us access to the best talent and the most diverse talent we can get within that network. I think that's a very unique competitive advantage for us. I have so many examples where I've been able to connect someone from that OpenX network in Turkey to find a way to localize and launch or in India or in Thailand or in Philippines or in, you name it. So it's not just diversity of and depth of talent, but it's also geographic. And obviously, as a holding company, they're also very forward looking and constantly exploring and trying what is on the cutting edge of marketing and bringing that to us.
So when I met some people from your team when we were trying to make this episode happen, they mentioned something that was very interesting to me. It said, Ibrahim has been leading a skunkworks team within the Coca-Cola system to try to bring everything you're seeing to life. And they said, Dafni, he handpicks the talent that is part of the Fanta team. And I would love if you can explain why they said that.
I don't know why they said that. I don't handpick. I've been very lucky with the talent that has worked on this brand with me, whether it is from our agency partners or whether it is from our own marketing teams. I genuinely say I've been extremely lucky on that front. What I think they meant is it takes time to learn about a brand and to build chemistry in a team and to establish trust and to, the community that I was talking about. One thing I am very particular about is making sure that we build teams, but then those teams stay over time. I try my best not to let more than, 20 to 30% of a team on any project or on the brand change 1 year to the next. Obviously, it's not always, perfect, but that then allows you to build. It's, so come to the point between TCC and OpenX or the brand team and the agency team, I don't think you will be able to tell the difference between who works on this brand from the agency side and who works on it from the brand side, because we are that close-knit. Everyone literally knows everyone. They connect instantly with no bureaucracy, and that's allowed us to do what we've done.
Amazing. I mean, what you just said is so important, like trying to keep people stable in a team. And it's one of the hardest things is that CMOs themselves change so often. And by the time that it's hard, that by the time you get a brand going or a shifting, then it's probably time to move. And then you need a lot of resistance as someone leading a team to understand what I should keep and I will not leave my footprint on that and what I need to change, because brands need time to grow and people do as well to be able to do their best work.
The key, I tell you, is you take a longer term view on people. Not everyone in the team was performing at the level which they are now from day one. And it's easy to be reactive and change, but I think one of the unlocks for us in terms of maintaining people is you do have to take a long-term view on people, and then in exchange they will take a long-term view on that team and on that brand. And this isn't me speaking. I like to listen to some people smarter than myself. This is actually one of Steve Jobs' biggest beliefs, and I think it was an incredibly smart thing to say.
Okay. No, it's an interesting build. You sometimes, I think one of the, I don't know who said it, the hire fast, fire fast notion was very prevalent, at least maybe in startups. But I guess what you're saying is much more valuable, but it would have to do with a good selection at the start. So when you look at the resume, what are you looking for? What are the things you like and the things that are a big no-no?
Yeah, I mean, culture fit, we have built a certain culture of trust and openness. A lot of the people who come into the community are actually a little bit surprised by how, it works. That's a you cannot overlook that. Obviously, you want people who are excited about the brand and the work and passionate about what they're doing. It's very hard to motivate someone who's not motivated to do something. It's incredibly hard to do. I think on the experience and capability front is what I mean when I say a longer term view. People learn and we'll make mistakes, and it's okay as long as we learn and build from those mistakes. So I do look for, obviously, depending on the role, some core experiences in terms of leadership, in terms of technical skills, in terms of understanding what we're trying to do, recognizing that we don't always have the expertise in-house or within the agency side, then we go out. So that's important, but it's not the only thing to think about. And again, I go back to genuinely, I think I've been very lucky in terms of the team that I got on Fanta.
So one of the things, we first met in November and we had a very brief, like 20 minutes discussion. And one of the phrases you said that resonated the most, because I truly believe in that, was that you said, definitely the fundamentals of marketing have never changed. It's how we do marketing that's changing. And it struck a chord because a conversation we keep having at Reborn is that we feel there is a capability crisis, and I would love your build on that. Like, you have all of these marketers who know how to hack TikTok, but cannot name the 4 Ps. So I would love to get your take
I would
on
love
that.
to meet these marketers who know how to hack TikTok. So if you know where I can find them, I mean,
Okay.
I would absolutely love.
Okay.
No, I
True.
think the fundamentals haven't changed. It's not about the 4 Ps or the 5 Cs or whatever model you're looking at. I think the fundamentals in terms of, hey, we're selling a product, you should understand what makes that product and why people buy it. And if you don't understand this, nothing else matters. You need to understand your brand. You need to understand your consumer very deeply. And you need to have clarity on that. There's this concept of the marketing ladder that is very popular in a lot of companies and marketing organizations, where you go up a ladder, but then you find you can't come back down because you went into this space which has nothing to do with it's an escalator, it's not a ladder. And I think that's what I mean when I say the fundamentals haven't changed. Understanding your product, your brand, and your consumer and your business, this hasn't changed. How you connect with consumers has changed. So when I say we don't hold the mic anymore as brands, consumers do, that's a big shift. The era of TV was me saying the same thing repeatedly to a captive audience on a medium that played an incredibly important role in their lives. So it mattered. I could shape the opinion of a brand with one TVC.
Correct.
For the most part. A campaign was a TVC. Completely gone, that era. Now you have to figure out how to get the audiences to talk about your brand, because they hold the mic. And where do they hold it? They hold it on TikTok, they hold it on Instagram, they hold it on YouTube, on Reddit, on X, on all of these platforms. That's a much different task to making a good film and putting some money behind it, because you have to find a way of getting people to talk about your brand. That's one example of how it has changed, but the fundamentals are the same.
What are some of the things you think are worth mentioning, or you're most proud of how the Coca-Cola Company as a system is trying to stay current with the how?
I do personally think that we are very forward-looking and experimental as a marketing organization. That's how you stay the best, if not marketing teams in the world. So in the space of digital marketing, I think we were at the forefront of a number of advents, whether it was back in the day YouTube and long form content, or now what we're doing on these social platforms. We've taken a step forward in terms of seeing how AI works, in our marketing workflows, and again, we've learned, and so that in itself, or now, for example, retail media and the advent of agentic AI, and this is a whole new world where you're skipping even things like search and other. And so there is always conversation and efforts to uncover and learn. That culture makes me very proud because it makes me feel like we'll never get stale as a marketing organization, because that's the biggest risk.
Yes.
Unlike other professions, the older you get as a marketeer, the less relevant you become. So you have to keep updating yourself very, very proactively.
I mean, you must feel that a lot, like
lot.
managing a brand that's consumed by people that are so much younger for you than you. How do you try to stay relevant?
I think
that
that I try is the
I
operative
play
word.
games at home
Well,
with my kids.
I do play a lot of video games. So I've
Okay.
been playing video games since I was 5. But no, that's not how. I think recognizing that there are things which I will understand instinctively because I grew up with them, and there are things that I will never understand instinctively, but I will understand rationally. And that's why the composition of the team is very important. My job on my team is to ask the right questions. I try my best not to give the answers, which is where my experience comes in. And we have a lot of marketers across all age groups and demographics and diversity, which is another part of the equation that allows us to stay current.
Okay, we've talked a lot about impressive and fancy things, but billion-dollar brands are sometimes built on things that many marketers would find unsexy.
Yeah.
What is the most unsexy but growth accelerating thing that you have going for Fanta?
I mean, no one's gonna go on LinkedIn and talk about how delicious Fanta is. Like as a marketer, that's like
Yeah.
table stakes. That's literally the one thing on the back of which this $18 billion brand stands. As marketers, sometimes we feel like that, or what makes the product special, isn't sexy, but it is ultimately what works. So that deliciousness is why you have a Fanta with your food, when you're gaming, celebrating Halloween. That's why, these collaborations work. If this product wasn't delicious, I could put whatever you want on that.
Correct.
No one cares.
So product is king.
And so, no, to your point around, what marketers sometimes skip is what makes your product stand out. And without a question, in the case of Fanta, that's the taste and its deliciousness. But I don't see people commenting on that on LinkedIn.
So we have a tradition, very early tradition, because it's one of our very first episodes at Marketing Factories, which is to ask the following. So at Reborn, we have a methodology we call the 58, which we use for helping brands solve some of their toughest challenges. So if you did have 58 hours with the world's top talent inside a room, no distractions, what is the Fanta critical challenge you would want to solve that you feel would propel the brand even further?
I don't know if you're going to like my answer.
Try me.
I would spend 50 of those 58 hours trying to figure out what are the right questions to ask
Okay.
for the future of this brand. Because I think that's the tough part. It took us, as I say, 2 years to ask the question on, hey, we need a vision. What should that vision be? So I think the hard work needs to be put in when it comes to problem solving in asking the right questions. The answers come easily then. If you jump straight into trying to get to answers, it rarely works. But, we do tend to put too much emphasis on that. If you're super clear on what the challenge or the opportunity on your brand, I give you the example. One of the questions we must ask ourselves is indeed what the role of AI is going to be in building these brands, specifically this brand and its entertainment vision. We have to be very clear on this. Because if we're not asking that question, well, then I'm just doing old school traditional marketing for the next 10 years. And I'll have great answers for you,
Yes.
but it's not going to unlock the next 10 years of growth on the brand.
Love it. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Daphne. It was a pleasure. I hope you like the...
I love it.
Excellent.